All right, so here on the left, I've already torn off 4 pieces of the tape. They're about 1.25 inches long, roughly, between 1 inch and 1.25 inches. And what we're gonna do, make sure you don't loosen anything. All right, you've got this little tab on the bottom edge, this little tab on the back, and then this portion actually goes into where the dashboard sits. So the way we're gonna do this, we're gonna take a little bit of the glue, and it all fits kind of in a channel on this edge on the bottom. We're just gonna put a little bit of that glue in this spot where that bottom tab sticks into it. Likewise on the back edge here, there's a notch, and we're gonna get that notch from this angle, and then likewise on the dash, oh, look at that, I got a string of glue. Likewise, we're gonna go right in here, this notch. This is where the other portion of that door panel sits. All right, so we've got our glue in those, and we're just line it up there at the bottom, at the back edge, and then get our dashboard in there. All right, now you may have to fiddle with this dashboard piece. Just there it goes. It kind of pops in there. All right, now that we've got that on there, what I'm going to do is take some of this tape, and just to help hold it in place, tape the door panel and then wrap it around this lower portion of the tub. All right, and then same along this back side here. We're just gonna go up here near the top and then wrap it around the back, and just that'll hold it in place while that glue is setting up. All right, so we'll do the same thing on the other side here. We'll get just a little bit of glue down in that notch. And it doesn't take much. This glue makes the plastic fairly soft. All right, and then again around this notched area. Hopefully you're seeing what I'm trying to show. All right, so glue around that, and then on this back side right here. All right. And then door panel. All right, so bottom notch. And then rear notch. And again, you may have to fiddle with this front one just a bit to get it to pop in there the way it should. All right, what am I doing here? All right, where are you not popping in? Okay, there we got it. All right, again with the tape, back edge around the corner, and then on the front, this lower portion is a good spot. All right, and we're just holding that together until that glue dries completely. The next matter of assembly is going to be some of the lower suspension on the underside of the car, which we've got painted now. All right, and we'll start up here. We need D12, and it says do not cement. So that was this piece here. Oh, there we go. And where's it showing us this goes? So if you look, so it goes in this orientation, but it actually slides back into these notches that are in there. There we go, kind of like that. And it says do not glue it, so we're good right there. All right, so let's move over to this diagram here, and then it shows you the continuing steps. All right, so we need these two pieces, right? The D16 and 17. And then we need also our spring shocks. All right, so we got those. And what is it saying to do here? So, all right, so let's take a look at what we got. So this must be 16. We're holding it in the same orientation as that diagram. That makes this one 17. All right, and then for the springs, okay, these look pretty much the same to me. So they very well might be. So we may have to do a little test fitting just to be sure. But what's it telling us? It's giving us an order to put these in. So 2 is our second step. All right, so this orientation, it says this little post needs to go into the end of that part that we just put in. And then this end fits into a cavity right there. All right, so I'm going to hold this a little bit. All right. There. See that? So that one's in. And then we'll do the same with this one. Oops. Now see, I just bumped that and knocked it loose. Okay. Did I totally mess it up? Yep. All right, hold on. See, I bumped it and worked it out of where it was at. All right, so the other thing we're gonna do is we're gonna add a little bit of glue, and I'm actually gonna add the glue right here in this corner where this end is gonna go. All right, so the pin goes through the hole, and you may have to tilt it up so you can see it better. And we're not going to glue it. So get it in the hole and then maneuver this end of this arm so it's in this space, just like that. All right, and you'll see we've got the pin is going through the hole on this arm. All right, and now we'll do the same thing on the other side. We'll take a little bit of the glue, roll it around so we get our strings off, and we'll go right here in this corner. You know, and it doesn't take much, just a little bit of that glue. And then the same process here. The pin goes through the hole, and then the end of the arm goes into that corner where the glue is at. So, and this is always difficult when you have fat fingers. All right, so in the hole and then into this corner, and make sure it's seated in that corner properly. All right, this looks like it might need to come this way a little bit. There we go. And in the hole. There we go. All right. Make sure these arms are pushed down into that space proper. You can see, all right, this end has the glue on it, this end does not. But you can see how that fits down in there. There's actually almost like fingers that hold it in together. All right, so there's that. Now let's look at these spring shocks. And let me turn this back around so it's like our diagram. All right, now, okay, this diagram is showing there's like there's something on the back side of this one. And I don't really see that on either one of these. So, we're just gonna let's see. Okay. So if you look, there's a flat area on one side, and then the other side is rounded. And if you look at them, they point in different directions. If you have the flat side up on both, one is pointing to the left and one is pointing to the right. Okay, so we're going to assume that flat spot is on this back side because you see more of the rounded on this side. So we're assuming the flat is on this other side, which is actually pointing that direction on the car. So if we rotate this so the flat is on that side, that makes this one number E8, and then this one becomes E9. All right. Now, let's see. It says this needs to go into a hole right there. All right, so I'm going to put just a touch of glue right there in that hole. I'm just going to touch it because, like I said, it's not going to take much. Okay, and then there's a hole on the top of this. So that end goes down. If I can get it in there. All right, and then this little pin goes on like that. All right, and same with this other side. We'll get a little bit of glue on the toothpick. Go right down here in this hole. Not much. All right, actually that glue's starting to set up on the toothpick. All right, and then orient it in the proper direction. All right, down in the hole, and then this top pin goes right like that. All right, so there you have it. That's what our diagram is showing us. Okay, now moving on, let's do the other end of this suspension. All right, let's work our way around this way. Actually, no, I am wrong about that. We are still on this end. Sorry. Okay. So, looks like the next step is this piece, D8, right? That's this one. All right, we got it in the right orientation. And moving right along, we need our brake pads, probably our smaller ones, I do believe. All right, so we got those. And then we need D19. That was this piece that we had to paint multiple colors. All right, and then you'll see P1. All right, so in the package that has your tires is this little piece here. All right, we need 2 of those. And we'll just nip those right off the sprue they're connected to. There's 1. And there's 2. All right, and we'll put the rest of these back in our box. All right, these are called poly caps. And what they do is they allow you to build this in such a way that your tires aren't going to be glued stiff. You'll be able to rotate them. And you'll see it says, do not glue. All right, now, I don't know what this was pointing to. Oh, this. Okay, so see this do not glue? If you follow these arrows, they're pointing to this arrow, and this arrow goes to the end of this, the ends of our bar here. All right, so let's see, step 4 and 5. So 4 is putting this into the end of here, and then likewise on the other one. So you might have to bend these slightly to get them into, all right, there's that one, and that one. All right, where does that end go? So this goes into, I think we got it. Is that right? Yeah. So there's a hole. See the holes? So there's little pins on the end of this that match up with those holes. Yep, there we go. That one's snapped in, and this one's already in. All right, and those go right into there where they're supposed to go. And then the end, okay. So we're all good there. We're gonna use the glue here right there on this inside, and as well we're going to do it on the ends of these pins on the inside, so none of this glue will be visible. All right, and then our poly caps, oops, let me turn this back around this way. So the poly caps go into the end of this axle. All right, it just slides in, no glue. And be careful because they'll want to fall out on you too because they're not glued in. They're kind of like a slippery kind of plastic is what they are. All right, so that one goes in. All right, now the brake pads. There's a hole in the back side of the brake pad, and there's a pin right on the end of this brake caliper. So it gets oriented with this on the pin. See, just like that. Now we are going to put a little bit of glue on those pins. I'm going to put a little bit of more glue in my tray because it's drying pretty quickly in the tray. All right. In fact, rather than putting it on the pin, I think what I'm going to do is put it on the back side here where the hole is. All right, just a touch of it. And then we can press this on. All right. And the same with the other side. So we've got that little hole. And we'll just put a little bit of glue right around the hole. And then on this side, on the pin, and then lined up with our axle. All right, so we had already worked on the rear axle painting, detail painting. What we forgot to do from the beginning, and I should have done this from the very get-go, we have now all the parts for the front axle assembly and the muffler and subframe. And I took these out and I sprayed them with the black spray paint like we did the other parts. Now it's time to do the detail painting on all of this stuff. So that's my bad for not painting it all at one time in the beginning. So I had to go back and redo this. So now we're going to detail paint this just like we did the rear portion of this. All right. We're going to use our instruction sheet that tells us what color all of this needs to be. And then once we get all that detail painting done, then we'll do this assembly and we'll move on from there. Okay, all those parts are painted now for the front axle assembly and the muffler and subframe installation. So now we're going to use our tube glue, put a little bit of it on our tray. Whoops, bumped the camera, sorry. Put some of that on our pallet. All right, cap back on, set that to the side, and I've got a toothpick that we're going to use to apply it where we need it. So let's take a look. All right, the assembly order, it says 1 through 7. So let's find number 1, which is right here. All right, and the first piece is E17. That's this one. All right, looks like that. Okay, and we're working at this end of the car. Let me put it here, maybe. All right, so see these little tabs right here? All right, these are the tabs that we're going to glue it to. And the way we're going to do that, we're going to get a little bit of glue on the tip of our toothpick. And we're going to put it right there on the top surface of that tab. All right, just a little bit. And we're kind of roll the toothpick off so that you get any of that stringiness, the spider web looking stuff. You don't want that getting everywhere. All right, so same on this side. And just kind of roll it off. Okay. And now make sure you got it in the right direction. And see, these things here are flat on the one side, so they lay right on those tabs in the glue. All right. There we go. And if you want, you can use the end of the toothpick that you don't have glue on to kind of push these down into place. Make sure that they're down in the glue like they're supposed to be. All right, and look at it, make sure it's all lined up properly, not off to one side or another, pushed back up all the way. Okay, so there's that one. And now step 2 is the E6 and E7, all right? Those are your springs. So basically it's 2 on one side and step 3 on the other, but the steps are identical really. So we'll do both of those, and then we'll do 4, which is this cross beam here. All right. And then I think, let's see. I was going to say, I thought maybe 5, 6, and 7 moves down to here, but nope. All right, we see it here. Here's 3, 4. Okay, 4 and 5 are identical. So one side and the other side. And then 6 is the front side of this piece, and 7 is the rear side of this piece. Okay, so let me go ahead and put those in place and we'll come back. All right, let me show you something that's going to make steps 2, 3, 4, and 5 a little bit easier. So instead of setting these springs down into the hole and then trying to snap D11 onto these posts, it's easier. Make sure they're in the right direction, right? Make sure that everything matches in the picture. But just go ahead and snap it into this little C-shaped hook. See this here? And it just kind of snaps around that. All right, now that they're together, it's so much easier now to place these down into the hole where they're supposed to be. All right. So, pressing on. All right, so we've got our steering assembly in place. Now, the next steps we need to do, all right, we've got these little black poly caps, and they go into the ends of E6 and E7, just like we did on the rear assembly of this. And we'll just put those in, and then we'll add our brake pads to those. And then last will be this subframe. Okay, now the last part of this assembly is the mufflers and the subframe. All right, so there's that one, and we got this one, and then here's our subframe, and we've got these 2 little F4. These are chrome pieces, came off of our little chrome tree, and there's just a little bit of a tail on that, but I'm not going to cut that off. That's where it was attached to the sprue. But I think when we stick it on these ends, we'll rotate it in such a way that that is going to be, literally it'll be the top. See, like right now this muffler is upside down because the car is upside down. But if you roll the car over, see this, you'll never see that. So when we put these on, we're going to put that little tail on so that it's up here and it can't be seen like that. Okay? Okay, now we have a decision to make. The kit gives us two different sets of wheels to put our tires on. This set here is on a chrome tree, which is not really a bright chrome. It's almost more of a brushed aluminum, and it looks really good. The other set of wheels come in gray plastic, and it requires you to paint all this. And if you look at the instructions here, we've got number 8, number 92. All right, so number 92, we know that was our semi-gloss black, right? And then number 8 is our silver. And you'll see just this outer ring of the wheel gets the silver, and then every one of those little dot holes gets the silver. All right, that's tricky to do. And I think in the interest of time and in the interest of saving ourselves a lot of painting work, we're going to use these wheels. And I think they look pretty good as they are. So we'll go with that. All right. Okay, now that we've decided on wheels, it's time to go ahead and install the interior bucket. Put some glue on that, and then we'll attach our wheels. And you'll see you do not glue the wheels. All right, there's a post on the back side, and it sticks into the hole on each wheel hub. And there she sits. She's on her wheels. Interior tub's glued on. All right, there's 4 holes in the chassis, and then 4 posts that go into those holes. So we put a little bit of glue in all 4 of those holes. The tires and wheels just press on. No need to overstress it. And actually, with those black poly caps, the wheels roll and the front wheels turn. How about that? So now we're caught up to step 9. And step 9 starts to attach some of the exterior components. You've got your grill and radiator, and then your headlight pieces that all go in. But before we do that, we are going to take our body and we're going to prep and paint the body so that it's painted and ready before we put all this stuff on it, okay? Yeah. So we're just about there. We're, I lied, we're not. So we're gonna do that. And then we gotta add all this stuff to the exterior. You got your headlights, some accent panels, the rear wing, tail lights, the windshields. All right, now look here, we have a masking diagram for our windshields because we have to paint this outer edge black on all the windows. And that won't be too difficult to do, but it's gonna take some time to make those masks. But all of this side are exterior detail pieces. So we want to make sure our body is ready before we add all that to it. Because once you get these other pieces on, it's going to be hard, almost impossible, to paint our body color without getting paint where we don't want it, right? Because all these other things have different colors, and it's just going to be easier to paint the body first.